Hello, everyone. You're all very welcome. We'll just give a moment for people to land into this virtual space and we'll commence the presentations very soon. A warm welcome to everyone. So grateful that you would all take the time to join us this afternoon as we discuss the 2027 Project Award across Participatory Arts and across Children and Young People's Arts. You'll see on screen as you're joining members of both teams who will be presenting today and offering support in different ways. Brilliant. So, Jeeve Achorda, we're just going to pull up our presentation on our slides here. So you're all very welcome this morning as we look at, or this afternoon rather, as we look at the Project Award 2027. We're going to be discussing the Children and Young People's Arts Project Award, which has very specific criteria. And then in addition to that, following our presentation, we will be looking at participatory arts and their priorities and areas. Some similarities across both, some very important differences which we will try our best to share with you this afternoon. So if you like to go ahead, Liz. We'll move on to our next slide. So what we will cover today, we will be discussing the Arts Council, who we are, what we do. We'll be looking at a presentation from the Children and Young People's Arts Team. And as I said earlier, then that will follow with the Participatory Arts presentation. So this is looking at Arts Council funding and advice, applying for funding, how to apply support, and at the end we will also have a Q&A as well. And you'll see on your screen here, if you're familiar with Zoom, there's a Q&A function which you are more than welcome to use throughout the afternoon. Any other questions that you have, we will share email address and contact details with you. So don't worry if you haven't your question formed yet, you can follow up afterwards. So we'll just move on to the next slide. So about the Arts Council. So the Arts Council is the national agency for developing and promoting the arts in Ireland. The Arts Council works in partnership with artists and arts organisations, public policy makers and others to build a central place for the arts in Irish life. And we are underpinned by our 10-year strategy, McGaw 2016 to 2025, which has been extended into 2026 and runs concurrently with the development of our new strategic plan. The Arts Council supports professional artists through a number of avenues via such as like partnerships, local authorities and other government departments such as Creative Ireland. Via funded organisations, we've got AGF who offer opportunities to artists, via funded organisations through the strategic funding, and indeed in partnerships through project bursary and applications. So a wide variety of ways in which we interact. We'll move on. So making great art. So we'll just go back one more slide there, I think, or did I skip across? So making great artwork, as I'd mentioned there, and we're currently working on our new strategic plan. You can find out more information and stay in touch with this by signing up to our e-letter, our e-newsletter, which is a monthly update, gives you a range of updates from the Arts Council and always keeping you up to date with future funding opportunities. We are across all social media platforms. I think we're across them all at this stage. So do follow us and interact with us and keep up to date with our news. The Arts Council website obviously is the main oracle, our main anchor of place to get your updates and your information. So funding opportunities, you can access information on all of our funding opportunities that are offered throughout 2026. Some that are relevant in 2027. So for example, our focus today is looking at the Project Award. And while every effort is always made to ensure that these dates are accurate, and please note the dates of any of the schemes that can change over time. So do sign up to our newsletter, keep an eye on our website and social media for any dates that come up or changes that are made. Any changes will always be updated on our website and through our newsletter and social media channels. So each funding opportunity will have an award guideline document which outlines the aims and objectives of the award and will also require an application form and supporting materials. So just to say as well that the award guidelines, they can be downloaded from our website when you're making your application. The document is quite large, but we do break it down into specific sections which you can click into. Some of which will be included in bullet points on at the slides as you go through. But we do urge everyone, and this is the caveat for today, you must read the guidelines, you must download the application form. We're just here to give you an overview and offer that support. But read through the full document, and if you have any questions, then you should go to the relevant team that can help you. It's important to read through the guidelines in full before you start to write your application, as they contain very important information and links, a number of links that can offer support, tech requirements, as well as the information that's relevant to, in this case, children, young people's arts and also participatory arts. The application form itself can be accessed via our online services account. We'll talk about more about this later on as well. Just to say on the form itself, we ask people to click on the grey box. We'll cover this again later on, but when you open the application form, it's very important that you don't edit or delete any of the items on the application form. This can corrupt applications, and then when you go to upload your application form on coming to the deadline, you will run into difficulty. Just be very clear and confident in what it is that you're trying to say and the ideas that you have. And the questions are really there as a series of prompts to help you on your side, to help you formalise and articulate the idea that you have. All of our applications at the Arts Council, they all require support material, but you will, again, just to say, look at the relevant guidelines to ensure that you have the essential supporting material that's needed against each award, so that you are not deemed ineligible if you're missing something essential, which we will cover again later on. Put documents together. We're just this again. We'll share this later on, but I think it's a really important and useful one as well. If you can compile documents together, it will be easier when it comes to uploading, and maybe give an overview of what you've of uploaded. So each team, as I say this morning, we will go through the various parts of the application form, the various priorities relevant to your team. And there may be some that are pertinent to both, but I know certainly from the children and young people's art side, we will be sharing some very important information. And I would say, if your award, if you are here today and you're looking to apply to participatory arts, if there is a youth element to it, I would urge you to listen carefully to what we have to say, and we will be talking later on about our youth voice document. But we'll move on to the next slide, which brings us over to my colleague Liz, who will bring you across on a journey through the project award and our priorities, and just a deeper look at our guidelines. So over to you, Liz.
Thanks, Emer, and I think you're welcome to everybody, and thank you all for coming, and thanks to anybody who's tuning in to the recording afterwards as well. I think Emer is giving us already a flavour of the nature of this presentation, which is a combination of the application process itself in terms of the strategic priorities of these awards, but also the technical needs. And don't worry, Amy will be coming back to some of the technical application bits and the actual kind of technical elements that are required for making an Arts Council application. Conscious that there may be people on the call who are applying to the Arts Council for the first time, and then also folks who may be regular applicants. So it's quite a broad ranging presentation today, and please don't hesitate, as Emer said, to reach out to us if you have further queries. The Children and Young People's Arts Team in the Arts Council, we oversee and look after the applications as they come in and go through the extensive process that they go through. And I suppose the easiest way to kind of guide you into the overarching policy and aspects of that is possibly trying to start with a little video here, which I'm just trying to see how I can get started. It's embedded.
And just to say as well, folks, this is available on our website, and we'll share the link to the trailer in case the sound doesn't do it justice this afternoon. I'll pop that link in shortly, and I would definitely encourage everyone to take a look and a listen to this beautiful trailer.
Absolutely. And I think it just gives an overview from in terms of the coming from children, young people's perspective on what they're I suppose, their take and their understanding of what the arts is and also what the Arts Council does. So, um, and also how we, I suppose, follow a rights-based approach to children and young people's arts within the Arts Council. Um, so the Children and Young People's Arts within the Arts Council has a number of different kind of policy, overarching policy agendas. We're a cross art form team, so when an application comes in within a particular art form, we also work with colleagues across the Arts Council in the other art form teams as well in terms of the assessment and evaluation of applications. Children and young people's engagement with the arts is within our team considered to be from birth into early adulthood. So that's 0 to 24. We manage funding for artists and organisations working for and with children and young people. And it's a ring-fenced area within the Arts Council and embedded into the Arts Council's strategy, just in recognition of what a specialist area of work it is. We support children and young people's engagement with the arts across art centres, local authority partnerships, and art form organisations. So we've a very wide age range and also a very wide reach in terms of both provision and art form practice. We work in partnership with other government departments and agencies whose policies and provision impact on children and young people's experience of the arts. And some folks on the call might be familiar with our partnership with the Department of Education, but also the Department of Children, Disability and Equality in terms of our early years, our arts and early learning scheme that we run. Within the strategic context, we've 14 going on 15 strategic arts organisations that we fund, and within that also we follow the Arts Council's Paying the Artist policy and also the EDI, Equality, Disability and Inclusion, Diversity and Inclusion policy, excuse me. And so we're kind of following a number of threads of, I suppose, overarching policies within the Arts Council, in addition to our own one for children and young people. Our own plan and policy for children and young people can be found on the website. It's called Growing with the Arts. And it really articulates, I suppose, the role of children and young people's art as a very specialist area, as an area that is both requiring of artists and arts organisations a level of excellence in both art form development, but actually equally and in parallel, a level of excellence around youth voice, around supporting children and young people in decision making, around creating safe spaces and creating partnerships in order to support that level of provision and experience of excellence for children and young people. So, the Children and Young People's Arts Project Award 2027. So, the purpose of this award is that the Children and Young People's Arts Project Award is an Arts Council funding scheme, and it supports artists to develop and deliver ambitious and original projects with and for children and young people. So, the purpose is very broad. The projects may be interdisciplinary or they might be focused on a specific art form. The priority areas as expressed in this scheme are early childhood, which is strand 1, and again to support ambitious and original projects that engage children aged 0 to 6 in the arts. Strand 2, childhood, to support ambitious and original projects that engage children aged 7 to 12 in the arts. Strand 3, transitions, to support ambitious and original projects that enable children and young people at key transition stages in their lives to engage in the arts. So again, within the guidelines, you'll notice that kind of references as an example that very particular age range between 10 and 14, where children and young people might be transitioning from primary into secondary. Strand 4, connections, young artists and recent graduates aged 18 plus to work with established arts organisations and arts infrastructure. Again, a very kind of delicate phase in, I suppose, youth arts / pre-professional stage of a young person / evolutionary artist development phase in the kind of trajectory of that developmental growth. Strategic priorities. These are really, really significant element within the award, particularly when it comes to assessment, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But strategic priorities of the Arts of the Children and Young People's Project Award are proposals that enable artists and arts workers from diverse communities to play a central role in the development and delivery of projects. Proposals that enable, oh, sorry, oopsie daisy. Proposals that enable children and young people from diverse backgrounds to engage in exciting, dynamic, and artistic projects. Proposals that enable children and young people with a disability to engage in exciting and dynamic artistic projects. Proposals that enable children and young people to have a voice in the development, delivery, and evaluation of projects. And Emer will tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. And proposals that demonstrate through examples of work and CVs or biographies outlining relevant experience that the individuals and partners involved have the capacity to deliver a high quality artistic project that will be relevant and engaging for the target age group. I suppose you'll notice within these strategic priorities, they're very heavily influenced by the Children and Young People's policy, which is rights-based and emphasises children and young people in decision making. And they're also heavily influenced by the Arts Council's EDI policy, Equality, Diversity and Inclusion policy. So who can apply? So the award is open to professional artists and organisations working to engage children and young people in the arts. And so to be eligible to apply, applicants must be resident in the Republic of Ireland. And there are certain exceptions where the Arts Council may deem eligible applications to be made. And if that's the case, if you are applying from outside of Ireland, please contact the team and we'll figure out what the eligibility criteria might be on a case by case basis. We encourage applications from all areas of the community, regardless of your gender, sexual orientation, civil or family status, religion, age, disability, race, or membership of the traveller community or socioeconomic background. And again, further details, see the Arts Council's Equality, Human Rights, Diversity Policy and Strategy. So who should not apply? And this is really for organisations already in receipt of Arts Council funding. So strategic funding, Arts Centre funding and partnership funding. We do welcome their involvement in applications as partners. But really this is a ring-fenced area of funding that is not specifically for the regularly funded applicants to the Arts Council. Individuals who work on an ongoing basis with organisations funded through any of the above programmes. So again, you might be, in terms of if you're working full time for an organisation that's strategically funded, it's not eligible for you to apply to this award. Organisations or individuals in receipt of AGF funding, which should be 2026. Individuals seeking support towards fees for higher education or study, or who are in full-time education during the period for which the award is offered. And this applies to the applicant, not project participant. Individuals or organisations who do not have a demonstrable track record as professional artists or organisations, members of the Council of National Cultural Institutions directly funded by the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sport and Media. And again, you cannot apply for the award both as an individual as part of an organisation. For example, you can't apply as an artistic director of a company and also apply separately under your own name, for example. So kind of double applications really are not acceptable. So applications that do so, they won't be prioritised and may not be deemed ineligible for reapplication. What supporting material must I upload? And this is quite a significant one, I would say, across both project awards. But for us, it's up-to-date CVs, biographies for each of the key artists involved in the proposed project. A detailed budget within the best of your capacity. Letters, emails of support and copies of MOUs outlining details of collaborations and confirming any commitments of income. Samples demonstrating previous work to the proposed project, and we have up to a maximum of 5 examples of work for us for an application to the project award. In cases where the project has a public outcome, a marketing or dissemination and engagement plan. A plan that outlines the process through which children and young people will have a voice and the development and delivery of evaluation of that project. So again, this emphasis on nothing about us without us, that children have a very strong role in both the development of your project idea, the delivery of your project idea, and the evaluation of your project idea. You may have to use, oh yes, we're going to show you now the Youth Voice template. So just to give you an idea of what that could look like, but again, it's not mandatory to use the template. It is mandatory to have a Youth Voice document. So I'm going to pass you back to Emer for this little bit. It's basically just to talk about Youth Voice and supporting materials, but Emer's going to talk to you about Youth Voice, and then I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks that we just wanted to flag with you around this specific award. So I'll just hand you back to Emer for a moment.
Thanks very much, Liz. And just to say again, yes, this is a mandatory requirement. And without this document, as Liz said, you can use the template that we'll share in a moment. Without it, you'd be faced with you could become ineligible. So this is really important. So the Youth Voice document it strengthens your application because it will provide evidence that the project has been co-designed with children and young people rather than created for them. It demonstrates participation, shows that the project responds to their interests and needs, and it will help the assessor and the assessment process to understand with greater confidence that the work is relevant and engaging, that young people have genuinely influenced and shaped this project, that they have been fully immersed and involved from the initiation right through to, the evaluation stage at the end, and that the project is shaped by the young people. It's embedded in the creative process, not just an afterthought. And it evidences a commitment to meaningful youth voice, which is absolutely core to this particular application form. So we've provided a template which you can use. It's just available to download on our website. You can use your own one. It contains, I suppose, a number of prompts within it. You can use this template, which have really good prompts within it. So the prompts I suppose we have there, I'll just read them out, are we're asking people to describe the ways in which children and young people's ideas have contributed to the development of your proposal. And if this doesn't apply or if you feel it's not relevant, you should explain why. So if we feel there's a gap, if something isn't provided, tell us why it's not there. Describe the ways in which children and young people will have a voice in decision making in the development and delivery of the project if funding is confirmed. Again, if this does not apply to your proposal, explain why. Let us know why. And describe the ways in which children and young people's views will inform the evaluation of your project. If it does not apply to your proposal, again, we say, like, tell us why. And within the voice template or the youth voice template that we have there, there's also a link to hopenanogue.ie to the participation framework, and that's the national framework for children and young people's participation in decision making, which supports departments, agencies, and organisations to improve their participation practice with children and young people. So again, an absolutely wonderful resource there to tap into. If you decide you have your own document that you want to include, that's absolutely fine. Please do include it as a separate document. And again, as I said earlier, if you're applying maybe to participatory arts, but there's a youth voice element to it, include this document. Have a look at it. Be conscious of it. Address the youth voice within your proposal, so that it can be fully assessed and considered. And again, it's there as a tool to help strengthen your proposal and give it its best shot, I suppose. So that's my little update there on the youth voice document, and just again, yeah, youth voice being absolutely central and core to this award.
Thanks, Emer. And again, I suppose circling that point back to the policy, the Children and Young People's Arts policy, which I would have referred to at the beginning of the presentation, which very much highlights that the Arts Council's positioning of children and young people's arts is cited within the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. So therefore, various elements within the policy and within that UN Convention are mirrored into the policy. And therefore, that's why our Youth Voice document is, and that emphasis across the kind of awards within the Children and Young People's Arts team, or schemes, should I say, is very significant and a kind of a significant element within applications into this area of Arts Council funding. Okay, so a few tips and advice. And again, this is quite loose, so please do come back to us if you have any more specific pieces of advice that you're looking for. But it's kind of drawn from a little bit of experience when we're looking at the applications as they come in and move from eligibility into the assessment process. And so really what we wanted to emphasize today was just to tell you, don't assume those reading your application will know your work. And it's quite a kind of a baseline question issue for across all Arts Council applications, but particularly in our team or in our area of practice, because it is cross art form, there's actually quite a lot of eyes on your application, which one way or the other is a really um, good thing to for your application to experience. Because you're going to be assessed by the Children and Young People's assessor, but you may also be assessed by an art form assessor. Or, for example, like Emer said, if you have an arts participatory arts aspect and you may be assessed by another team or area of practice within the Arts Council. So just don't make that assumption that we know your work. It's really about telling all of the eyes that may be on your application about your work, uh, assuming that we don't that those eyes don't know anything about it. Make the supporting materials easy to access. And again, this is kind of something we talk about in our team around curating supporting materials. We talked about earlier the 5 projects that support your project application. And again, just think really carefully about what your supporting material is and what you're trying to tell us about your practice and your project in those supporting materials. Make sure that all the mandatory support documents are submitted, and the youth voice doc is mandatory, whether it's in our template or your own template. We don't specify, but it is a mandatory doc. Budgets. Okay, so we get a really mixed because people are coming from different art form. Budgets it can be very broad ranging in our applicants. So we would say just to be as realistic as possible, represent fair pay for the artist and arts workers in your project. Planning and evaluation time should be considered. Access provision costs should be considered, especially if you're working in the area of equality, diversity and inclusion. Assessors use budgets, like they do look at budgets to evaluate the feasibility and value systems that you're placing around your project. So they're a very important consideration. Make the link as much as you can between the award's strategic priorities, which I flagged at the beginning of our presentation, and your project. So make that as clear as you can, just in terms of the more you can kind of link your project objectives to the award objectives, the better. And then also partnerships. We know there's an array and amazing groups of partnerships that come in through project applications. But as opposed to just being a letter of support, they should evidence and demonstrate commitment, shared understandings, capacities, access to participants and audiences. And then just coming to the final kind of set of tips and advice from our team, from the assessment perspective, just keep asking what makes this a strong project award application. And for us, in terms of it moving from the assessor and assessor writing of evaluation notes to the peer panel review process, it's to kind of constantly review the artistic quality and the case you're making for artistic quality, for there to be meaningful youth voice. So that is really what makes the applications competitive, is around meaningful youth voice, strategic alignment with the strategic priorities of the award, strong evidence of your practice and your capacity to deliver, and feasibility that links into that as well. And just 3 questions to think about before you upload. What assessment criterion does this document support? So we get a lot of supporting documents. So just think about what is my assessment, my supporting document supporting in terms of assessment. What does this tell the assessors about the quality of the project and the people delivering it? And would somebody unfamiliar with my practice understand why this proposal matters and why I'm capable of delivering it? Finally, we are here in the background and we are the Children and Young People's team at the Arts Council. Here's our email, childrenandyoungpeople@artscouncil.ie, and our phone number as well. And you'll see the list. There's myself, Liz, Emer, who you see on the call. Sarah is there in the background as our arts officer. Finn Reid is our arts assistant, and Hannah Mullen is our advisor and assessor who works externally, and Bernadette Larkin is our support assessor who works externally. And so that is it from us for now. I will see you back at the Q&A, and I'm very happy to hand you over to our participatory arts team.
Hi, my name is Karen Whelan and I am the support manager in Participatory Arts, and I'm joined today by Carol Magnani, who's our Participatory Arts officer, and Amy Delamere, who's our Participatory Arts assistant. So I'll just bring you through the presentation, and I think we will double up with Liz's presentation in some areas because specific parts of the guidelines require the same from both areas, so just bear with me. So participatory arts refers to a range of collaborative community and socially engaged arts practices where professional artists and arts organisations work with individuals and groups, otherwise the community participants, to develop, create and/or present artistic work. Community participants are not arts professionals, however, they are artistic collaborators and co-creators contributing to and influencing artistic content, outcomes and outputs. There may be a shared interest about the artist and the community participants, and this may include areas of focus such as equality, social justice, human rights, community development, action, climate action, health, education, or social, political and environmental issues. Like, it's a broad ranging, and they're just some examples. So I just pulled out two examples there of previously awarded projects, and these are available on both the applicants' websites, so Marie Brett and Floating World Productions. And Marie's project was around the holy wells in Ireland and the importance of them to people in their areas. And Floating World was an intergenerational project, and that was around the protection and birds and those at risk. The both of them are really good projects, but you can, as I said, the information is available on both of their websites. And along with them, you can check out other people that have been funded under this scheme and other schemes from Participatory Arts and Arts Participation, because we recently changed the name of the team, but they'll have different probably search criteria on the website. And you can have a look to see who is awarded and then see what kind of work that we did support. So as mentioned earlier, all our awards have a set of guidelines to support you making your application, and these can be found on our funding opportunities page of the website and are typically made available 2 weeks before the window of application opens. It's important that you read through the application or the guidelines because there's very specific information in there, particularly around the types of support material that you need and the technical requirements. And I think some people don't quite get to the end of the document and then they run into areas of difficulty. So read the guidelines from top to bottom, and if you have any questions, of course, contact the team, and there's other links in there for our ICT support and our online services support. So the purpose of the Participatory Arts Project Award. So it's to support proposals from professional artists or arts organisations working in any art form to collaborate artistically with non-arts professionals. It's for projects commencing on or after 1st of January 2027. It'll have a start, a middle and an end date and take place over 12 months. The award will not support ongoing core costs or a programme of work. If 2 or more artists that want to submit an application, then 1 person is nominated from that group to be the applicant, and all documentation needs to be in the name of the applicant. So that is the application form, if you're awarded, bank details, etc. Again, these are all in the guidelines document. There's lots of information there. So the objectives and priorities of the award. So our strategic objectives are projects that involve an excellent quality of artistic collaboration, projects that clearly outline artistic goals, ambition and merit along with any other goals, projects that include activity that is developed in partnership, projects that include individuals and groups that experience barriers to access and engagement with the arts, or projects that demonstrate an awareness of current participatory arts practice in Ireland. So what do we want to know in your application? Well, we want to know about you, the applicant. We want to know about the community participants and why you want to work with them. We want to know what you want to do, when you want to do it, where, why, and how. And all of these are really important, and specifically the how, because the how is, we want to know how the co-creators, the community participants, their involvement within the project from the get-go. We want to know if there are other partners or other artists involved. Are there other financial contributors, whether that's in cash or in-kind support? And any other support, letters of support from the participant communities. If you're working with another organisation in support of your proposal, a letter of support from them. So anything that will help concrete your application. I don't know if concrete is the right word, but pull it all together. So who may apply? Professional artists and arts organisations with a track record in participatory arts, as well as demonstrating their track record as an artist and an arts organisation. To be eligible to apply, applicants must be resident in the Republic of Ireland. And there may be cases where applications would be accepted from applicants outside of Ireland, but they need to demonstrate how it will benefit the arts in Ireland. So that's on a case by, you really need to demonstrate that within the proposal. Who may not apply? So I'll probably cross over here with Liz's presentation. Applicants who want to collaborate with other professional artists only. And that's where there are no community participants. Applicants with no track record as a professional artist or arts organisation. Applicants with no track record in participatory arts. And applicants who will not collaborate with non-arts professionals. So again, just reiterating that. Organisations funded via other Arts Council programmes, so that's organisations, applicants in general. If undergraduates, for proposals that are covered by other cultural institutions or cultural institutions themselves, anybody can't apply. Where primary activity is therapy or where there is a clinical outcome. So while arts and health can fall within the participatory arts umbrella, if it's in relation to therapy or a clinical outcome, it's not eligible. There has to be an artistic outcome. And then where the primary activity is with children only and not that cross-generational group. So again, all this is outlined in our guidelines. What you may apply for. So once-off activity that will take place within a specific period of time, normally 12 months, and where there is an artistic outcome. You can apply for an amount up to 60,000, and you can also apply for personal disability access costs in addition to the total amount you want to, that's required to undertake your proposal. And this is for yourself or participants that may need access costs to remove barriers for them participating. What you may not apply for, projects that do not fit the purpose of the award, charity fundraising purposes, profit-making, competition, proposals already assessed, capital costs. And for proposals already assessed, if you are guided by the Arts Council to resubmit either to another award or you must identify that the proposal has been significantly developed. They are two ways that we will relook at an application. It's not to cover capital costs either. We don't support ongoing costs or core costs. We won't support more than one project or proposals suited to another award, or proposals that have started or will start before the 1st of January 2027. So what you will need. You'll need your online services account. If you don't have one, you can register for one, and the link is on our homepage. You'll need your application form downloaded from the online services portal, a separate detailed budget document. So I've underlined detailed because sometimes we don't get enough detail, which can impact the feasibility of your proposal. So give as much detail as you can within the budget. We do have a template that you can download from our website as well. Again, it's not mandatory to use it's mandatory to have the separate budget template, but it's not mandatory to use our template. You can use your own. But we have one there for those who feel it's relevant to them, and you can change the details on it. It's an example items in there, and you need to make sure that your budget is relevant to your project, and make sure that they total up properly. We get budgets in where applicants aren't checking the totals, and then they're off balance. If you are applying for disability access costs, there is a form also that you can download from our website, and these are just, you only need to submit this where relevant, but this has to be separate from any other support material. So while we would advise people to put like for like together, so say all CVs together, all examples of work together, we ask that you keep the disability access form separate, because that is assessed by our disability access team. You'll need your own CV or an organisation's profile of the applicant, CVs of other artists involved, samples of work, and as relevant to the proposal that you're putting through as well. Commitment support letters where relevant, evidence, proof of contributions, financial in-kind support. So it's good, to provide the letters of support from people that are involved in your proposal. And again, if there are financial or in-kind contributions, particularly where they are confirmed, you need to submit a document from the contributor for them. So I'm going to pass you over to Amy now, and Amy's going to bring you through application supports and how to apply.
Perfect, thanks, Karen.
Okay.
If you would like to go to the next slide. So I'm just going to finish with a bit of the technical information on how to apply and supports available. Most of the information might be repeated, so I do apologize. There are plenty of supports available to applicants, whether that's via the team, the reception, they'd be like the first point of contact for any ICT issues, or the disability access team. There is also a video introduction to the AC funding application process available on the funding page on the Arts Council website that you can watch before starting your application. If you can go to the next slide, thank you. You can access any information or guidance for each of the steps of the application process also on our website. So before you apply, there'll be information about what you should do before you think about applying, and then when you're doing your application, and then once you submit your application afterwards. And then, sorry, next slide. Sorry, thank you. Now, for people with disabilities or access requirements, the Arts Council make every effort to provide reasonable accommodation for people with disabilities or access requirements who wish to submit an application, or who have difficulties in accessing the online services. If you have a requirement in this area, please contact the Arts Council Access Officer. You can do that by phone or by email. And then if you have any issues with the online portal, you can always get in contact through the online services at artscouncil.ie as well. And Oh, sorry, I
You've
skipped
done
ahead
that,
on that one.
I think. Yeah, no, you're grand.
So then on just how to apply, as we mentioned previously through Liz and Karen, if you haven't applied to the Arts Council before, you'll need to register for an online services account. You can do this at the link provided here, or you can go through the link on the Arts Council website. It can take up to a full week to make an account. So make sure that you're applying well in advance so that you have access to the application form before you start your application. You will receive an ARN, which is your artist reference number. It's like your unique ID number within the Arts Council, and a password will be provided by email, and you'll use them to log in to the online services account. And then if you do not notice them showing up after the 5 working days, make sure to check your spam and your junk mail before you get in contact with ourselves. But if they still don't arrive, get in contact with us as soon as possible, and we will be able to try sort something out for you then. And then on the online services platform, that's where you can update any of your personal information. You can download the application form, upload all of your material for your application, and then if you are successful, you can request your payments through the online services account. There's just a note down at the bottom of this slide, just to double check everything that you need when you're uploading your documents before you press submit, because with the online services platform, once you hit submit, you can't amend anything or go back and make sure that you missed anything. So just double check, maybe even triple check just before you press submit. And we'd also recommend when you're uploading your documents to make sure that someone even reads over your application that's not part of your application, so they know if there's anything missing or if it reads correctly as well, because that can be very beneficial. And then in terms of eligibility for the technical side of the application, you have to apply before the deadline, which is the 23rd of July at 5:30. If you miss the deadline, it will be made ineligible. You will need to include all your mandatory supporting material, which is also outlined in both the guidelines. So whether that is for children and young people's arts or participatory arts or any other art form which you are looking to apply for, you must fill out a full and complete application form and submit it. Your application must be fit for the correct award and the purposes. So if your application isn't suited to the specific award you've applied for and doesn't fit the purposes of the award, it could be deemed as ineligible. You also can't submit the same application to the Arts Council twice unless it has been made ineligible for some reason and that has been amended. You can't submit the same application that's been previously assessed. It's also important that it's a new and original application and you must apply within the allotted amount that the award is offered. And then, yeah. And then when you're submitting your application, make sure the correct art form is ticked, whether that's children and young people's arts, whether it's participatory arts or a different art form completely. So if you're, so that we know, which art form it's dedicated for and which it can be assessed underneath. Then make sure that your support materials are easy to access. So make sure it's named, you've named each document. If you're submitting a budget, it's named budget and maybe your name and the project application. So it's really clear for those who are in the art form team and also any assessors who will be reviewing your application, that they'll be able to understand what the supporting document is for. And then, as previously mentioned, you should always write and submit your applications as if an Arts Council team member or the assessor has never heard of you or seen of your work before, whether that's true or not, just to be clear and concise and direct with what you're saying and with what you're providing, so it's clear for us to understand where what you want to do with your application and how better to assess your application going forward. And then just the final note here, just make sure that you're leaving plenty of time and that you don't leave until the like minutes of 5:30, because things go wrong. We all know this. So it might take a couple of, it may take a couple of times to upload it. So just make sure that you have enough time in case you need to contact us, whether the team, the reception, or the ICT. And then it's just easier for yourself not to put so much pressure on yourself to do it at the last second. And then just the last slide there. Oh no, it's not, sorry. Then just don't forget to contact us. You can always give us a call, you can email us in, whether it's our team or the children and young people's team. We're always here to help no matter what. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. And I just want to say there what Amy was mentioning about making sure you select the correct art form from the drop-down menu that you're applying to on your online services account. If applications come into Participatory Arts, instead of the right one where you're meaning to say apply to children and young people's arts or any other art form, we'll do our best to try and move them over. But just make sure, because if you're missing a mandatory document required for the team you should have applied to, you'll be made ineligible by the other team. So it may be eligible with support material point of view for participatory arts, but it won't be eligible on the other side. So it's just really making sure that you're selecting the right team in which you want your application to be assessed under. And if you have any questions, which one should I, maybe borderline, just call us at any time. So thanks, Amy. So we kind of covered some areas a couple of times, and it's really, I think, one of the most important messages is give yourself plenty of time. Applying on the last day or trying to submit on the last day, you'll not be guaranteed to get it through, because there's very heavy traffic on the system then, because there's a number of teams that will be accepting applications at the same time.